Dear students, welcome to you again. Today we're going to complete and to start again the chapter 3, reproduction in the living organism, and learning the first type in the sexual reproduction in the plant, in the flowering plants. Let's starting our episode today. Reproduction in flowering plants. In the last episode we started the first two parts, which is calyx and corolla. Right now we're going to start in the male reproductive organ, which is andrecium. Andrecium, it is the male reproductive organ in the plant. Well, right now we need to study the male reproductive organ, or which is called andrecium. Okay, well, it consists of units, which is called stamens, and each stamen consists of two main parts. Okay, filament, and this filament carries a capsule-like shape or a tiny part, which is called stamen. So each stamen consists of a filament, and this filament carries what? A capsule-like, a tiny part, which is called anther. This is the factory of manufacture of pollen grains inside the andrecium, or the inside male reproductive organ of the plant. Okay, and each anther with 4 pollen sacs. It has what? 4 pollen sacs, or 4 pollen chambers. Okay, each chamber, it has a main role in holding and manufacture or creating the pollen grains. They are called male gametes. Is it easy? And the last one, or the last floral parts, so we studied the calyx for protection, the inner parts. After that, corolla, colored scented leaves. It has an important role in what? In attraction of insects for pollination. And we studied the andrecium, and we said it what? The male reproductive organ. Finally, we have what? Gynoecium, or the female reproductive organ. And gynoecium, it consists of what? Consists of ovary, style, and stigma. Okay, it ends with the sticky disc, which is called stigma. And carpels, each one of the female reproductive organ is called what? Is called carpel. And each carpel itself, it consists of 3 main parts. They are what? Ovary, and after that style, the long part, and this long part carries what? A sticky disc, which is called the stigma. Carpels may fuse together and enclose together, and so on, or they may be remain separated. Well, and as we said, each carpel consists of main 3 parts. Okay, swollen part at the bottom of the flower, in the center of the flower, which is called what? Yep, we call it ovary. And after the ovary, it carries what? It carries the one, or maybe 2 fused together, as we're going to study, a thin part called the style. Okay, and this is part ovary, style, and finally it ends by a sticky part. We call it what? Stigma, to receive pollen grains. Okay, well, the flower functions. Flower, as we said, it has the main function in the reproduction. Okay, so the main function of the flower after the sexual reproduction, the ovary, it converts, or it transforms into what? Into fruit, and also formation of seed inside it. So the main function of the flower is what? Is the formation of fruits that contains seeds for species continuity, for continuity of the life. Or even suppose that we don't have seeds, so there is no any continuity in the life, or for a different species of the plant. Okay, and also the stamen should be prepared well for pollen production, or pollen grain to be produced and propagate in the air. I hope you that got the difference between the main function of the flower, which is reproduction. Okay, but what about after the reproduction is what? Yes, formation of fruits. Well, and also the ovary for our ovules formation, the main function of ovary, it forms what? Ovules, or the female reproductive gametes. And then followed by what? Two processes. One of them is called pollination and the other is fertilization. And actually, the first process, which is pollination, or the transformation of or carrying the pollen grains from male reproductive organs, okay, androecium, to the female reproductive organ. It may be in the same flower, it may be what? In a separated or two different flowers, but from the same type, okay? Well, formation of pollen grains, firstly, how they are formed inside the pollen chambers or the pollen sacs, okay, of the stamen, and after that, how the pollination occurs or happens in flowers. Well, pollen grains, they are produced in the anthers of each stamen. As we said, each stamen consists of what? Yes, filament and what? An anther. Anther, it is the factory of formation of pollen grains. Each anther contains, as we said, 4 pollen chambers or 4 pollen sacs. Well, during the flower development and before the formation of pollen grains, those chambers, those sacs of the pollen sacs or pollen chambers, they are absolutely full with what? With a large number of nucleated diploid cells. It contains a large number of cells. Each one of them, they are what? They are diploid. I mean, they carry the full number of genetic materials. Okay. Each one of them, they are called spore mother cells. Remember that we call they are called what? Spore mother cells, because we're going to change this name. Okay. So we have what? We have 4 chambers. Each one of them contains a large number of cells. They are called spore mother cells, and they are nucleated. They are what? They are diploid cells. And after that, when anther grows, I mean, they are become mature, they are prepared well for reproduction. Each spore mother cell, as we said, they are 2N. Spore mother cell, they are 2N. They are diploid. They divide by meiosis or meiotically to form what? Each one gives us 4 haploid cells. Each one of them gives us 4 cells, but each one of the resulted cells, they are called macrospore. So we have here spore mother cell, they are diploid. After meiotic division, inside, all of that happen inside the anther. It gives us what? 4 cells, each one of them called macrospore. And remember, macrospore, it haploid or carries the half number of genetic material. The nucleus after that in each macrospore divides by mitosis to form 2 nuclei. To form what? 2 nuclei. Tube nucleus, and the other nucleus is called generative nucleus. Again, the nucleus of the macrospore, as soon as it reaches to the stigma, it divides into what? Into 2 nuclei. One of them is called tube nucleus, and this tube nucleus, which is causes the degeneration or the separation or form as a tunnel to reach the microbial. Okay, while generative nucleus, it's responsible for fertilization. Okay, to fuse with the female reproductive organ or the ovum of the in the ova. The wall of the pollen grains thickens for protection and form a grain. This grain is called pollen grains. Is it clear? So after the formation of macrospores, its wall it thickens or increasing in protection to form a grain. This grain is called, those are pollen grains, and they are separated and propagated in the air to reach the female reproductive organ. The anther after that mature and the wall between adjacent pollen grains, I mean the chambers, okay, they are the pollen chambers, they are what? They are degenerate. They are absolutely what? They are disintegrated and releasing a large amount of those grains that they are called pollen grains. This is a process of maturation of ovary and anther at the same time. On the right side in the screen, you have what you have here from up to down, okay? We have what? We have a transverse section in the anther of the flower of the plant, anther, and we have here four pollen sacs or four pollen chambers. Each one of them contains spore mother cells, which is diploid twin, and after mitotic division, it gives us 4 microspores, each one of them haploid, and finally, each one of them covered itself by what? By a thick wall and give us a grain or cell. We call it pollen grains. Okay. Well, while the other side we have the maturation of what? Of the female reproductive organ. Well, formation of ovules or female gametes in the plants. Well, during production of pollen grains in the anther, on the same time, okay, I mean they are work parallel together. They are work simultaneously together. Yes, the suitable word here that they are simultaneously work together. So they are parallel changes that happen in the ovary of the same plant or of the same plant of another plant of the same species. Okay. Each ovary, it contains what? 1 or more ovules. Remember that. We have a fixed number of what each mother cell in the male reproductive organ. It gives us microspores. While here in ovary, each ovary it may contains just one ovule, or it may contains more than one ovule. Okay. Well, each ovary after that swells, or as a funicle or umbilical cord develops to connect what? To connect the ovule with the ovary. Okay, and through which the food and food contents and nutrients to reach what? To reach to the ovules. It's a very important because it's responsible for formation of the fruit and seeds. The ovule becomes surrounded by what? By 2 envelopes. We call them integuments. We call them what? Integuments. So they are covered by 2 envelopes or 2 integuments, and except a very tiny part. This part is called micropyle. But what the importance of the micropyle? It's a very important for what? For reaching the pollen grain or the nucleus, the degenerative nucleus of the pollen grain of the male reproductive organ to what? To the ovule. So the integument, it covered the whole oval except a tiny part or a minute hole which is called micropyle, from which the ovule is fertilized. Each ovule contains 1 spore mother cell, which is 2N or diploid, and after a series of mitotic division form what? 4 haploid cells in row. They are arranged in 1 row over each other. Okay. And after that, 3 cells, as we said in the comparison in the last episode, I hope that you remember that the 3 cells are degenerated, they disappeared. Okay, they have no any function right now except one, and this one it enlarges and increases to form the grows rapidly and form the ovule. I mean the main reproductive gamete, female gametes. So 3 of them degenerate and 1 only remains and grow rapidly, forming the embryo sac. This embryo sac is what is surrounded by a lot of nutrition food. Okay, nutritive tissue. This nutritive tissue, we call it nucellus. Remember that that we have a great difference between nucellus here, okay, and the integument, which covered the previous part. The nucellus of embryonic sac divides by mitotic 3 times. So each mitotic division, it gives us what? 2 cells. Is it clear? So each one gives us 2 cells. But what about the 3 times? The divides by mitosis 3 times. The final product that we have 8 nuclei. Each one of them 4 migrate to the one pole. Okay. Again, the nucellus of the embryonic sac divides by mitosis 3 times, forming what? Forming 8 nuclei. Each 4 migrate to one pole. We have 8, 4 upper and 4 down. From each 4 nuclei, okay, one of them migrate or move to the center of the embryo sac, giving us what? 2 polar nuclei. Again, we have 8, 4 at the up of the embryo sac and 4 lower. From each one of the 4 nuclei, one moves or migrates to the center of this sac, forming what? 2 polar nuclei. And we're going to right now to know the importance of this process. The remaining 3 nuclei at both of the sac poles become enveloped. They are surrounded by some of the cytoplasm and also a thin membrane, forming what? A distinct cells. Distinct cell, it means what? It's a specific cells. Okay. The middle of the 3 cells that are close to the microbial, here is it. We need here the time for fertilization. Okay. The close to microbial growth, forming the egg cells. Okay, and 2 side cells are called synergid cells. Again, we have what? Cell in the center, we call it what? The egg cells. While the 2 other side cells, they are called what? Synergid cells. We need what? We need the egg cell. It's very important for us for fertilization. The 3 cells away from the microbial are called antipodal cells. I mean the other cells, they are away from the tiny hole, as we said, called which is microbial. The cells away from it, they are on the other side, they are called antipodal cells. They are called what? Antipodal cells. The ovule becomes ready right now for fertilization. I mean for fusion the female gamete with the male gamete, okay? And finally, what happened here? The female gamete, which is the ovule of the egg cell, it fuses or it merges with what? With the degenerative nucleus of the pollen grain, and after that formation also the causes formation of zygote, and also zygote it carries diploid number of genetic material and so on. Okay, and we have here the section for mature ovary, and as I need you to observe it. We have the microbiome, it is a tiny hole, okay, and also we have what? We have the antipodal cells. They are cells that 3 cells away from the microbiome, while the cell that near to the microbiome, the central one, we call it egg cells, and other 2, they are called synergid cells, while the cell that migrate from each 4 cells, we call it polar nuclei. What about the pollination and fertilization? There are 2 processes. One of them transferring pollen grain from male reproductive organs to the female reproductive organ. Well, this is a pollination. Well, pollination here, it is the transfer of pollen grains from the anthers of the anther to the stigma of the flower. Okay, this process is called pollination, just transferring from 2, okay, from male to female, okay. And we have different ways or different methods for transmission or for transportation of the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. We have what? It maybe happens by air, by water, insects, animals, by man, like in palm trees and some type of plants. Well, how many type of pollination that we have? Well, number one, we have self-pollination. Self-pollination is mean what? It transferring of pollen grains from anthers of the plant to the stigma of the same flower, or anthers of the flower of the same plant to the stigma of the same flower of the same plant. For example, we have one flower. This flower is a typical flower. Okay, it contains male and female. It contains anthers and the stigma at the same time. Okay, what happens inside it? Self-pollination. Okay, and number two, we have two different flowers of the same plant. Okay, one of them is male and the other is female. The transferring of the plant of the pollen grains from the anthers to the stigma of the other plant, the other flower in the same plant. This is called what? Also self-pollination. Like maize plant, like corn. Corn, it occurs by self-pollination to different flowers on the same plant. Number two, cross-pollination, and this is going to discuss it in details. Cross-pollination, no, we have two different flowers. Okay, we have what? Transfer of pollen grains from the anthers of the androecium, okay, or stamen, to the stigma of another flower, but they are from the same species. Okay, again, we have two different flowers, but they are from the same species. Okay, tulip, menther, and so on. But the two plants, okay, they are separate from each other. Okay, this is the meaning of cross-pollination. So we need an extra means like insect, wind, man, and so on. Those are called the means of pollination. What about the factors that lead to cross-pollination? Why we need to cross-pollination? Number one, sometimes the flowers are unisexual flowers. We have three different types of sexuality of the flower. They may be unisexual, male only or female only, and sometimes they are bisexual. Bisexual means that what? They are male and female at the same time. Number two, the height inside the unisexual flower, height of anthers is lower than stigma. I mean that if the flower is already bisexual, okay, it contains anthers and the stigma, but the height of the anthers is lower than the height of the stigma, so there is no pollination will be happened. I mean the pollen grains cannot fall on the stigma. So we need what? We need the height of the anther. It is necessary to be higher than the stigma for happening self-pollination. And also maturity of organs of one sex before the other. I mean early maleness or early femaleness. Early maleness is mean what? Maturation of anthers before ovaries, and vice versa. The femaleness is maturation of ovary and stigma before maturation of the anthers, and so on. So we need both of them should be happens parallel together. Okay, but if it doesn't happen, we need what? To cross-pollination. Well, after that, we have the other process, which is fertilization. So we studied what? The pollination is just a transformation of pollen grains or male reproductive gametes to the female. On the other side, we have fertilization, which is what we need to study fertilization. We need to learn more about it. Well, the pollen grain germination and double fertilization. Again, we have two processes together. Pollen grain germination and double fertilization. And let me to show something here. Formation of seeds and fruits after fertilization. Well, I mean the final result after fertilization is formation of seeds and formation of fruits. This is the meaning of, and this is the final product and final results of fertilization or fusion of male gamete to the female gamete, as we studied. Okay? Well, pollen grain germination. What does it mean? When the pollen grain falls on the stigma, okay, it starts to germinate. I mean, it started to grow up and form pollen tube. To form what? Pollen tube. But why we need pollen tube? We need to reach to the microbial. We need to reach to what? To the female reproductive organ, which is ovule, or definitely egg cells, as we studied. Pollen tube penetrates the style tissues. Style tissues, do you remember that each carpel consists of ovary, style, and the stigma, okay? The pollen tube, to reach to the microbiome, it needs to what? It needs to degenerate and to penetrate the style tissue, okay? To reaching what? The ovule's microbiome, okay? It wants to what? To fertilize the egg cell. And the tube nucleus, which is degenerate, I mean the tube nucleus, the nucleus that causes penetration, degenerates or disappear, this part. Well, after that, the second nuclei, we have two nuclei, okay? One of them is called degenerative and the other is what? Tube nucleus. The function of tube nucleus, it's already ended right now, okay? And the function of degenerative nucleus, it starts by dividing into two male nuclei. Into what? Two male nuclei. We have something here called a double fertilization. Well, the double fertilization, it happens only in the plants, okay? And it doesn't happen in the animals. Till now, it doesn't happen, okay? What does it mean, double fertilization here? Well, one male nucleus, it fuses with the egg cell and form zygote, which is 2N, or this is a fertilization. It just what? Fusion or merging the male reproductive gamete with the female, forming what? Zygote. That what we know. It's okay? And when the zygote starts to divide, forming the embryo of the plant, the second male nucleus fuses with the nucleus of the embryo sac. Again, after formation of zygote, the second male nucleus, as we said that we have two nuclei, it fuses with what? With the nucleus of the embryo sac to form what? To form triploid nucleus, 3N. And this is called endospermic. And remember, the double fertilization, it happens only in the plant. Okay, this case of 3N happens right till now. Okay, it happens in the plant. And the nucleus, we call it what? Triple fusion. And while the nucleus, we call it endospermic. Okay? What is this? Well, we have here on the screen the stages of pollen grain germination. Well, we have pollen grain, each pollen grain, it coated by a thick coat, and after that the nucleus, it divides into two, give us two nuclei. One of them is called tube nucleus and the other is generative, which is responsible for main role in fertilization, while the pollen tube, or it formed by the nucleus tube, okay, just to what? To penetrate and to generate the tissue of the style till reaching to the microbiome of the ovum. Finally, I hope you studying and comprehended the difference between asexual and sexually reproduction and the importance of each part of them, and reaching to our episode, which is studying the sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. Goodbye and see you the next time.